In this video, we'll discuss the impact of the Trump administration's policies on the US economy so far. You must be familiar with Trump's famous slogans, "Make America Great Again" and "Make America Rich Again." Here, the focus is on making America rich and powerful, for which a strong US economy is essential. According to Trump, he is working in this direction. However, in some cases, the drastic decisions he has recently taken seem to go against American interests, at least in the short term. For instance, his aggressive stance on imposing tariffs on various countries could hurt the US economy. The sudden and abrupt decisions taken after assuming power have led to a decline in the US Consumer Sentiment Index. Additionally, the American stock market has also reacted negatively to Trump's policies.
Here, we need to understand that the decision to impose tariffs will not only harm the target country but also negatively impact the US economy. Think of tariffs as a tax on imported goods. When a tax is imposed on imported goods, they become more expensive. American consumers will have to pay higher prices to buy them, leading to increased inflation in the country. Many people will not be able to afford essential items, and purchasing power will decrease, resulting in a decline in overall consumption. Already, after the pandemic, people are worried about the rising cost of living. Additionally, the US is a country that consumes more than it produces, meaning it relies heavily on imports. American companies import a large amount of raw materials, which are then used to produce final products. With the imposition of tariffs, the import costs for the US companies will rise, increasing their production costs. This, in turn, will put American industries under strain. To compensate, they will pass on these costs to consumers, further driving inflation in the country.
So all of a sudden, imposing tariffs has many dire consequences. It is possible that Trump intends to use tariffs as a bargaining chip, viewing them as a negotiation tactic. He may threaten to impose tariffs to negotiate a better deal with the target country in the US's favor. The target country might succumb to Trump's pressure due to the trade war and its adverse economic impact. But did this happen? No. In fact, countries started retaliating. Canada, China, and even the European Union imposed tariffs on US goods in response. A situation resembling a trade war developed, increasing the risks of global supply chain disruptions. Uncertainty grew, and relations with other countries began to deteriorate. These retaliatory tariffs will further harm US companies, making their products more expensive in these markets and reducing their demand.
Further, Trump's imperialistic tone has made the international community quite uncomfortable. He is openly talking about expanding American territory. Initially, Trump's statements were not taken seriously and were considered a joke. When he first addressed former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as a governor, it was initially seen as trolling. However, when Trump repeatedly did this and spoke about making Canada the 51st state of the US, these statements could no longer be overlooked. Canada has realized that Trump is serious about this, posing a real threat to the country's sovereignty. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has called Trump's plan crazy and stated that he will meet Trump only if Canada's sovereignty is respected. US-Canada relations have now deteriorated to this level.
Similar is the case with Greenland. Trump wants to make Greenland a part of the US. In order to increase his presence in the Arctic Ocean and gain access to Greenland's critical resources, he is putting pressure on Greenland to join the US. For now, Greenland is resisting, but it remains to be seen how long this region, with a population of only 55,000, can withstand the economic or military coercion of the mighty United States of America. Trump has already stated that he will acquire Greenland sooner or later. Further, consider the case of the Panama Canal. The American company BlackRock is set to acquire a majority stake in key ports located at both ends of the canal, Balboa and Cristobal. BlackRock will acquire this majority stake from the Hong Kong-based CK Hutchison Holdings. However, China is pressuring CK Hutchison not to proceed with the sale. Despite this, Trump is determined to strengthen American presence in Panama and will not hesitate to take military action if necessary to establish control.
Recent actions have eroded countries' trust in the US, halting military intelligence support for Ukraine during the war, adopting a pro-Russia stance, and withdrawing from security guarantees for European allies have all contributed to growing mistrust between the US and Europe. As NATO weakens, European countries are moving towards self-sufficiency and reducing their dependence on the US. Due to Trump's imperialistic ambitions, the US image as a protector of democracy is being questioned. Additionally, US Vice President J.D. Vance's criticism of EU leadership at the Munich Security Conference has further strained transatlantic relations. Europe has realized that the time has come to achieve autonomy in economic, political, and security matters, reducing reliance on the US and strengthening cooperation among themselves.
Further, with the government drastically cutting spending and rapidly reducing the number of government employees, there will be negative consequences in the short term. Heavy government spending stimulates economic activity, provides opportunities for businesses to expand, creating jobs, increasing consumer demand, and growing the economy. However, under the Elon Musk-led Department of Government Efficiency, sudden and sharp cuts in government spending and welfare programs are being implemented. This will reduce the disposable income of beneficiaries, leading to lower consumer spending and consequently slower economic growth. Unemployment will rise. Many vulnerable people will struggle to access essential support services, and income inequality will worsen. When decisions are made abruptly in this manner, market instability and uncertainty increase, which is detrimental to investment.
When there is a significant reduction in the workforce within a short period, a labor shortage occurs. Employers then need to hire at higher wages, and this additional cost is inevitably passed on to consumers. Mass layoffs increase the workload on remaining employees, heighten uncertainty about job security, and lead to stress and burnout, ultimately reducing productivity and overall efficiency. Abrupt decisions also erode trust in leadership, lowering the morale of the remaining staff. Differences are emerging even within the Trump administration regarding Elon Musk's decisions. Disagreements and friction are arising among Trump's advisors due to Musk's extreme regulations and rapid implementation. This can lead to internal conflicts, policy paralysis, and a decline in public confidence in the government's functioning.
When public trust erodes and investors become apprehensive about policy, it leads to uncertainty and volatility in the markets. Investors had hoped that Trump would step in and boost the economy. But what has been the net result of his policies so far? A stock market crash and fears of a recession. Global banks like Citibank and HSBC have downgraded US stocks, suggesting that investors should look to Europe and China. This is what happens when too much is attempted in too little time. When gradual progress is replaced by a sudden shock. Trump wants America to become a manufacturing superpower and export to the entire world. While this intention is good, it takes time. It will not happen overnight. The result of trying to achieve this in the short term is that, due to the abrupt decisions of the Trump administration, trade tensions have increased, US growth prospects have weakened, consumer confidence has fallen, and financial markets have destabilized. As a result of Trump's policies, not only the US, but also the global economy is facing an increasing threat of a slowdown.